Hello and welcome back to the Jeweled Dagger. Today we are going to make a bird feeder for some small birds. Or better said, this is going to be a prototype for one of the bird feeders I plan to sell later on. There you can see it. I'm not sure if I mentioned this before on the channel. I do have aspirations on having my own small ceramic studio. And until then, I mostly work from home. And this is one of the projects that I decided I wanted to make. I figured I could make a couple of them and maybe go to a fair or something, make a limited amount of them that I can sell and just try it out, how it's gonna, how the market reacts to it, to use very, very big birds that I sometimes feel, very small for. But it was very nice to work with clay again. It's been months since I was able to pick it up. The last time I worked with it, it was at university when I was doing my masterpiece for ceramics. And by the end of that project, I felt very burned out, and I did not feel like working with clay for a while. So I took a long vacation and started to work at a different place, got my life mostly in order, and now we are back with starting me starting this YouTube channel and having some clay in my hands again. I really enjoyed making this bird feeder, even though it's it obviously has mistakes that I will summarize at the end, and how I will move forward with this project. If you have any suggestions or notice anything that might be a problem with it, feel free to comment in the comments below the video. I'm always happy to receive feedback. Don't be rude, because there is no need for that, but feedback is always appreciated. So I'm using this Gorgon Schneider clay, which will be brown at the end of the firing. It's either the type that's numbered 356 or 366. I genuinely don't remember, because I got this clay a couple years ago and I just threw away the label and I didn't put it on the box where I stored it. So yeah, it's either of those. There isn't a big difference in the firing range of it. Both of them have these tiny, I think it's called Korg, I'm not 100% sure. But basically these already fired ceramic pieces that are crushed into really tiny particles, 1 or 2 millimeters big, or even smaller. The bigger these particles in, the more stable they make the clay, and you can make really big pieces with them. But I mostly got this because of the color. It has red and black clay in it, if I recall correctly, and it does have, I already used it once or twice for really small pieces, and it did have a very lovely color at the end. I really like the color brown in ceramic pieces. I think it's a little bit underrated because most people associate it with that very washed out brown, but what I enjoy is this very deep and rich brown, which gives so much character to the pieces. I think it gives this very archaic feel to them, and I found that I grew to really enjoy it. And those tiny markings that you see at the moment, they also play into this archaic feel of this piece, like if it's a member of a lost civilization or a lost culture, something like that. it got pretty dark in the meantime. I had a lunch break because I was hungry. Obviously, I was working all day, but my camera's battery also died, obviously, because when else would it die, right? But I made the roof tiles. I made the little markings for them and then deepened it, and now decided to hollow it out because it couldn't be too thick, even though the birds would fit. If it's too thick, then the lower part of it would collapse, and if it's too thin, on the other hand, it would crack or bend or break during the firing, the top half, I mean. So I couldn't do that. I had to find the golden middle route for it, which I think I did. Obviously, the trial of a pudding is eating it, or in our case, firing it. We will see when it eventually gets to a kiln. Bisque firing is usually pretty safe, so it doesn't always mean a lot when it survives bisque. I mean, it does if it's like a lower firing range, then it's a pretty good sign. But if it's a high fire clay, then it's not a guarantee. Yeah, and I remember it was so nice when I put the top part of it on for the first time after I hollowed it out. It was such a, not a light bulb moment, but such a completion moment. Like when you have a project that you've been dreaming about for weeks and weeks, and you sketch it out, and then you see it slowly becoming a thing, like a tangible thing, and then it's not perfect, it's not tidied up, whatever, but the main structure is there, and you see it becoming from a sketch to a thing. It's such a gratifying moment in our field, I believe, or any field that makes things like carpenters or masons, or sculptors, yes. Yeah, so as you can see, I'm a professional. I know my words, I know my ABCs, and I speak English fluently. But all jokes aside, I, on the video, am currently cleaning up the little tiles and struggle with the lighting situation. It's gotten completely dark in the meantime while I was working, and the main light in my room is not very good. The little light that you can see on the left side of it is also not very bright, because I do enjoy a mood lighting situation. I don't need to see everything, right? But in this case, I do, in fact, need to see everything. So I resorted having my phone under my chin and turning on its LED light. It was incredibly uncomfortable. I don't know how I managed to keep it on for under my chin so long, but it was a hustle. So yeah, I hope these tiny roof tiles really appreciate all the hard work I put into them. I decided to put these roof spine tiles on top because they looked good, and I didn't really like just the regular tiles colliding with each other. So I went with this solution, and I think it looks really cute. Obviously, because of the shape, it reminds me a little bit of Japanese pagodas. But we use similar roof tiles here in Europe on the spine of the roofs. So yeah, I think it turned out pretty cute. So yeah, finishing these up was kind of fun. It was a bit more difficult than I imagined, with the little worms of clay falling off every now and then. And I had to correct it a number of times, so they would like stand up tall and not lay on flat with the other roof tiles. And here you can see I started to hollow out or like drill through the top of it, because originally that's where I like imagined the top to like hang by, that there would be a hole in it and I would insert a thicker rope and it would hang by that, right? But this is the next morning, I realized that it would be a horrible idea. You can see him in all his glory. One of the ears got a bit loose, that's why I'm fixing it here. So the hole on top would be a horrible idea, because especially through the rope, all of the water would drip in, and the poor birds, like, they wouldn't drown, but like they would get wet and cold and they wouldn't want to live there. And of course the wet clay like sticks to metal, as one does. So I had to apply gentle force, but eventually it came off, so it's fine. So I had to do a different approach. First of all, I had to fill it in with other clay. I'm not sure how good of a job I did. We will see. I really hope I didn't leave any air bubbles in and that it will not crack. We will see. We will see. It's gonna be fine. It's fine. This is fine. I'm fine. Yeah, now that I'm look at it, it kind of looks like I, lobotomized him and now I'm fixing it. And yeah, that's little old me cutting the hook on top, which is the solution in question for the hanging up problem. I always imagine this like a hung up bird house and not as one that's like sitting somewhere. I think it's gonna look way cooler and way cuter. Yeah, it was pretty simple to attach it. Just dip it in water and then mold it with the other parts of the top. And then endless hours and hours of cleaning the roof tiles. I think it took me a couple hours to completely clean it up to my liking, and it still can use cleaning to this day, even though I consider it more or less finished. It's still leather dry. It's sitting next to me, so I might touch it up places. We will see how much self-control I have, because I need to learn to let the projects go. That if it's finished, it is in fact finished, and no matter how good or bad it looks. I can't spend eternities on any work, because it's gonna rank up the price of it, which obviously can be someone's goal, but I will attempt at least to keep my pieces affordable. Obviously art is more often than not considered a luxury item, but I don't want to go too overboard with my pricing in the future. But if inflation goes on like this, I can't make promises, because the economy do be wilding these days. So yeah, that tiny piece of wood that you see in my hand is my favorite tool to work with clay. It's very simple. It's like slightly curved on both sides, but it's such a good tool for everything. It's incredibly versatile. And the other one, this metal piece, is my other favorite tool. It's excellent to work with plaster as well, not just clay. It leaves this very nice geometric texture to the pieces you work on with, unless you clean it up very smooth. And the metal piece is actually a tool that nail technicians use. I do have a couple tools from other fields that are not at all related to ceramics, but I think it's a common trait for ceramic artists to just hoard useful items from like other professions because they work, and if it works, it's like not stupid, you know. I do have like nail technician brushes that are like teeny tiny for like teeny tiny details when I work with Ango, and other things I can't remember at the moment, but I do have tools from various fields, and you know, you just have to find the tools that work best for you, because every hand is different, every hand works different, and you know, there are these generic pottery tools, but if you make them yourself, they are usually better fit for you than just the regular ones. You know, it's the same as with clothing. You can buy stuff off the rack, but if you ever go to a tailor and get something tailored for you, it's gonna fit better. So here I'm just adding the finishing touches, cleaning up everything, and although it still needs firing, which I can't do at the moment, this is the finished piece. I think he looks incredibly handsome. If you like the video, hit like, subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.